So you're on mute.
Sorry, hi Matt. How are you?
Okay. I'm going to have to leave early because it's a public art commission meeting I have to attend at 3:30.
Oh, okay. Uh, we may end up doing most of this in executive session. We would invite you in, of course. I'd like to do as much as we can in open session, but it's hard to separate the discussions,
Yes.
So we'll see.
And there's substantive challenges with both of the updated proposals that I think need to be discussed in ways that are not particularly flattering.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree.
Um, and we don't need to, drag everybody's dirty laundry through the public so that people can harp on it. It's just we
Well,
need to be more discreet.
okay, great. Well, great. I will, in that case, I will call the meeting to order. Um, and First order of business is to approve the agenda. Um, By unanimous consent, the agenda will be approved unless I hear any objection. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Public comment. Sean and Phil, do either of you have a comment you'd like to make?
Nope.
Nothing from me.
Okay. All right, then we're on to item 4, deliberation of the revised proposals. I was thinking that most of this really, I don't see a way out of doing it in executive session, frankly. I mean, there's some stuff we can talk about in
Yeah.
open session. I'd like to do as much as we can. So with that in mind, Stephanie, why don't you lead the way?
Happy to. Here we go. It's good to see you all. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
been a while. Yeah.
Missing you. But yeah, let's see. I'm gonna make this bigger. So yeah, okay, here we go. So I'd like to I'm assuming you can all see my screen. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd like to go through a reminder of what we asked the each development team, and kind of then you can share your general reflections and on both their responsiveness, just overall impressions of strengths and weaknesses, things you feel you can speak about. Keep in mind that the things you should save for an executive session would include anything that would harm our negotiating position when we get to the LOI and development agreement negotiations, and anything they marked as confidential in their financials. So kind of going to hit what our next steps are in terms of financials. This may not be the right order that we want to do this in. In fact, I'm going to change it right now. I'm going to put the timeline at the top. I actually want to go over that before we get into the meat of it, just to orient us to where we are. And but I want to make sure we get any question today. The goal would be to get any questions you have for developers. Give me some homework to go back to them on, and I can discuss the homework I have already for myself on the financials coming out of this meeting. Unless out of this meeting, y'all decide there's a clear front runner and that you just want me to run out the front credentials on, or the financials on, that one developer, and start vetting that one developer, in which case I could do that. My expectation was going to be that I should do the financial analysis for both, but we'll get there. So real quick, I want to go through the timeline. So everything crossed out is what we've done already to date. Lots and lots and lots of work. I'm keeping that in here so we feel good about how much progress we've made. And then we're in this period here where it's all the review of these resubmissions and deliberations. We have a tentative holding spot for the 29th at 8 a.m. Is that going to work for the three of you? Sal, I think you were the only one that said you may not be able to make that. So,
I think it works. I think it still works for me. Yeah.
okay. That's a long time. That's like, over 2 weeks from now. And so let's circle back at the end of this meeting and see if we want to squeeze in one more meeting next week if possible, but let's pin that. I'm aware Kelly is out, right, Evelyn? And
Yes, she'll be back Monday.
Mike is still out. Nope, Mike's here. Hi, Mike. That's right. No, you were out last week. That's, I think. Okay, good. So, yeah, so we can talk about that. And then our goal is to get to an actual recommendation on the 15th of July, which I believe I scheduled that as like I think that's like a Wednesday. That would be the day we want to prepare our recommendation and start putting the letter together that would go to council. The materials together would kind of come together that week before it goes to council for a decision on the 22nd. And we may want to talk about process in a little while once we've made our decision about how we get the rest of the board up to speed on it. And then the rest of that is the same. So any comments on the timeline for now, or maybe just pinning it for later?
Yeah, well, that sounds good, and we can talk about a meeting next week if we need to.
Okay. All right. So I want to go back to well, and I'm going to skip around. I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if anyone's heard anything. Has anyone heard anything from the public on anything? Like the submissions were received last Monday, and has anybody heard anything else?
I've had one or two emails from folks, both of which favored the DEW proposal. They just, they like what that didn't see much change, frankly, in the Chinburg. So that was their.
Okay.
I went to the I think it was on Monday. There was a joint meeting of the Planning Commission and the Housing Committee, where just at the final 15 minutes, primarily the Planning Commission spent a little bit of time talking. They're going to, I think, dive into it in more detail to look at the different proposals and provide some feedback to either the subcommittee or council. It's not 100% clear to me, but they kind of exemplified what I've been hearing, was that a lot of appreciation to both firms for being very responsive and for listening and coming back with substantive changes to the proposals, providing added detail. I have heard people favoring kind of one over the other, but I have yet to hear anybody. Well, I've heard some people, but most of the feedback that I have heard has been like either one of these is actually, they're both compelling in their own ways. And I think what I heard primarily and what I want to emphasize is just appreciation to both developers for really putting in that extra work and providing us with something we can actually dig into and respond to.
Great. Well, with that, I think what I'll say is, yes, we asked them to provide specific materials. Each team had specific materials they needed to provide us with. Chinburg was asked to provide a revised concept plan, their sources and uses and operating pro forma, and their projected cost of infrastructure. And DW was asked to provide the building and neighborhood vision with architecture and projected cost of infrastructure. And both did submit all of those materials and then some. Let me be very clear. I specifically told them they did not need to respond to every single question, that was to inform their resubmission, and they both responded to every question. So I have not given them the appropriate business about about giving us that reading, but instead I'm going to consider it actually a really great show of good effort, and I was kind of surprised that they were both equally as robust. They, again, you got two, it just shows kind of the merits of both of these, and they both have different strengths. So I think that's great. Good to hear what the community is saying. So, I don't have anything else to say about reflections on responsiveness. If anyone else had anything you could add to that. Basically, what I'm trying to do is, one of the things we're going to come out of this with, unless there's a clear front runner, is to have you refill in the matrix, both quantitative and qualitative, to see where you're at. And so some of what I just captured about their responsiveness is one of those qualifications of the RFP, or one of the asks. So let's move on to kind of overall impressions, strengths and weaknesses, things you can share in open session, and then I can come back to, and I'll take some notes, and yeah, why don't you guys tell me what you're thinking, and then I can we can also come, if there's questions you have, burning questions for the developers, we can do that.
Is Adrian's not with us yet. Okay. Well,
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Adrian's
oh,
here.
there you are. Great. Welcome back.
So, who wants to start? Anything you can say in open session, anyway.
Well, I'm wondering about the infrastructure and the use of the CHIP funds. I'm curious. Both companies are assuming, of course, that the city's CHIP application will handle the infrastructure, but I didn't see a sort of restatement of their willingness to, co-sign or, I mean, what did
yeah.
anybody else pay attention to that, or?
No, but I'm assuming they both know that the requirement will be a development agreement. That's just, I mean, I don't know that for certain, but that's part of
That
the
would include
process
that,
with
yeah.
CHIP. Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty specific in the original proposal. That's why I was wondering if that represented a change or what.
Yeah, I
Uh,
kind of doubt it, but the so I will just talk about that for a minute in terms of process. So I have two analyses on my plate for next week. Again, assuming after this meeting you'd like to, I can do it for both, or I can do it for the selected one. It's up to you. But what I was planning to do was both go through their feasibility, go through their pro formas, and do my own pro forma on my end. I have my own model to look at feasibility, make sure they're not missing any variables, missing or overlooking or understating some of those deliverables. And I can deliverables meaning like ratios and things that they're trying to hit. And that way I can attest to the city, to you folks, specifically the council, that these both look viable. And the big one with CHIP is I have to be sure that by us subsidizing through CHIP, through the infrastructure, we're doing that to make this feasible and make these homes, even remotely affordable, and not just trying to grow their profit margin. That's one of the testimonies I have to make to CHIP. So and then the second piece would be the CHIP analysis, and it would be running out values. I'm going to have to get some help from Marty, Mike and Matt. Maybe you can help me. But just to work out that, back into what the debt capacity is, and assuming with their debt capacity, their expectations of absorption. And specifically, I think, yeah, we can get into some of the details of what I know now when we get into executive session, but based on their pro formas. But basically, that's where I'm going to go with this so that I can give you a summary of the findings week after next.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, I feel like that's really critical here. Like, I mean, in terms of like a strong favorite, like I actually do have a little bit of a preference, but I think they're both strong enough, and we've come this far that like really we're like in the math portion of the program, right, where we just really need to see some testing of these assumptions, do that kind of CHIP analysis. I think is really important. I think we can talk more about this like when we get to the financial section. But just in terms of like overall impressions, which I think what you're asking about,
Yes,
Stephanie,
please.
like I really felt that DEW was responsive in terms of like both kind of the layout of what they were doing, the mix of home ownership in relationship to rentals that a lot of people expressed, interest in. Their potential partnership or support with Huntington Homes felt like something that a lot of people in the community were invested in. So I felt like they listened a lot and responded, and have I also like that their team is like familiar with the site with VHB, and there's a lot there, right? And the local nature of their proposal, I think, is really powerful. Chinburg, I was really impressed with how they kind of heard us about like that huge building that they had initially and breaking it up into kind of smaller buildings. I really like the compactness of their design. I think that's really great. I love like the row houses. I think that that's really cool. In both of these, and it might just be the way in which the information is presented, and it might be unavoidable. I'm thinking a lot about like parking and asphalt, impervious surfaces, just how to make this not feel like a car-centric development, even though it's going to be a place people drive to. Like just being really thoughtful about how parking is positioned and not having like asphalt be the center of people's experience of place. But yeah, I guess I would just say like they both have pluses and minuses to me. If we're not even talking about the financial component, right? If we're just talking about like the layout, I feel like DEW responded well to what they heard. I felt like Chinburg did too, in terms of preserving more of the rec field, but it's still maintaining that really compact settlement pattern, which feels really good. So those are just kind of my impressions, and I really do feel like math is going to be the deciding factor in a lot of ways. And frankly, just our confidence in the partner's ability to pull it off.
Yeah, I'll just jump in, Ben. That's exactly where my brain is at. I think math is going to help us in terms of, the things that stuck out to me was the Chimberg delivering the 325 units, but having three-quarters of that be rentals, right? So I don't know. I think one of our financial analysis pieces is to look at the chip and see how that, you know, I don't know. Like that's not my area of expertise. So you all will have to tell us what that looks like in terms of is that financially feasible? I don't know the answer to that. And Chimberg had 75 ownership opportunities, where DEW was looking at 180 units, which is obviously less than the 325, but having more home ownership. So I think the math question is going to be revealing in terms of what is financially feasible for us. I think both of these developers definitely did their due diligence. They followed up, they answered all the questions. I was very impressed by, DEW going out and just, looking at those additional partnerships with Huntington Homes and taking into consideration the community input and thinking about what people really liked about ExecuSuite and incorporating that into their second round proposal. But I think just the what sticks out in my mind is the big differentiator between the two is the rentals versus home ownership and the math of what can we do in Montpelier. I mean, we know housing is a crisis, and you know what is the math going to come out to? Does it make sense to have more home ownership as a first phase to help pay back the chip, or do we want, more rentals? Do we want an out of state? And maybe I read this wrong, but having Chimberg manage these rentals, would they have a local, I don't know what you call it, like a property management
Property
here
manager.
in
Yep.
Montpelier, or would they manage it out of state? So those were some of the things I was thinking about when I was going through. I mean, I read it all, but it's a lot of information to read through their proposals, and I might have missed something, but that is what are some of the big things that stick in my mind. And I think, just kind of digging in a little deeper, doing that financial analysis, I feel like we'll start to see that the answer come to us maybe a little bit clearer.
I will actually, just for the benefit of this conversation, I'm wondering if it'd be helpful to show you, see if this actually shares what I want it to. No, it didn't. Hold on. Show a side by side of the two. Thought maybe that might be helpful. Let's see if I can do that. Screen. Sure. See if this actually looks like what to look like. See. So can you see them side by side now?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's helpful for anybody to see kind of, Ben, when you were talking about pavement and DW's on the left, Chinburg's on the right. I don't actually know if there's more pavement or not, just
Yeah,
because
I agree with that. Like,
because DW is so much more extensive up in this zone. It's hard to tell. It's not really apples to apples. I think the biggest differentiation is the rec zone being kind of open for the city to program versus kind of the way that they've integrated it within the development here.
It's also a lot fewer units, right? The
Yeah.
DEW.
Yep.
So you're going to have less pavement
But-
because you have less parking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's 288 units, I think, altogether, isn't it? And I think Chinburg is 249. So aren't they pretty close in number of units? I mean, phase two of DEW adds, or 2 and 3 add another 180 units. Am I right about that?
I've got Shinberg at 318
Yeah.
and DEW at 290.
Yeah.
That's including all
close.
future phases, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't include the Chinburg future phases. It's pretty close.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out here is something that the community asked for was real different type of, I'm going to call it product integration, which I think is actually means something different in like media terms. But the way that they have, the big units, the big multifamily next to some townhouses, next to some duplexes here, some an eightplex here, it kind of does really break up that kind of big product. So you've got the multifamily, and then even a single family down here, which I thought kind of was nice and different, different from what they originally proposed and different from Chinburg that have kind of the bigger properties. And then over here, the townhomes and the single family. There's still integration. They really are. I mean, it's hard. I mean, integration can be hard in terms of construction type, maintenance, the way that, homeowner associations work, to have them kind of grouped makes sense from a lot of operational perspectives. But I did hear the community say a desire for some of this more integrated. But
And I think one of the other differences with Chimburgers, they proposed a commercial space.
true.
DEW did not, but that was just something that stood out. I mean, it's not to say that it can't be, but it was just part of their
Yeah.
proposal.
Yeah. DW said they'd see what the market would
Right, yeah.
require. Yeah.
Yep. And
I
it looks
can't-
Chimburg it looks like they kept the two rec areas, but they still built on that flat
Mhm.
area.
They did.
So
They did
Yeah,
because
I thought Chinburg was unresponsive in that regard. I mean, I specifically talked to them about the two parking lots that were right smack in the middle of the recreation area as defined by us in the in the concept.
yeah.
And they shuffled things around a bit and added a couple of fields, but this is very similar to their original plan.
Yeah. I must stop my share. Okay. Let's see. So anything from anything else you'd want to talk about now? I mean, I could pull up the matrix, for example, just to look at the categories and the buckets for what you've.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I'd really like to have a conversation about some of the finances, right?
Okay.
Because I feel like there's some
Sure.
some stuff there to talk about.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
All of that was within our confidential materials. So.
Right. I mean, Sal and Adrian, you tell me, but like, I'd be happy to make a motion to find a finding.
We can go there. We maybe we need to go there now. And I think Matt's got to leave. Mike, are you sticking around for the whole? Will you be here for a while? Okay, great. So why don't we do that and invite Matt and Mike
Great.
And Stephanie.
Well,
and
with
Stephanie, of course. You're one of.
I'll make a motion. I move to find that premature general public knowledge of financial information related to these proposals will clearly place the city or a person involved at a substantial disadvantage by disclosing prematurely.
Any objection?
nope.
None.
Then 2, I move that we enter into executive session to discuss confidential financial information related to these proposals and invite Stephanie Clark, Matt Jelasik, and Mike Miller. Evelyn, I don't know, do you want to join this or?
I was going to say I'll stay here just so I can keep this meeting
Great.
running, and then
Okay, great. So then I'll limit it to Mike, Matt, and Stephanie. Under the provisions of Title I, Section 31, 3A2 and VSA 317C15 of the Vermont statutes.
Second, any objection? Okay, by unanimous consent, we will enter executive session.
And Evelyn, you've sent us a link.
Do we have
correct?
a link?
yes, it should be marked high important. So if you don't see it, let me know. But yes, I did send it.
Thanks,
Okay,
Evelyn.
great.
And then we'll come back to this meeting before we adjourn.
Yep.
Great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
see you guys
Everybody.
over.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to exit executive session. In fact, I will move that we exit executive session.
Second.
Any objection? You're all muted, or Ben, you're muted.
Second.
With no objection, we are out of executive session. And we have we're really just going to set another meeting, I think, and next steps.
Yep. So we have, I need to do some financial calculations, including the chip analysis, and I should have that done within the next week. So I think we've already done this exercise of when people are available and it didn't yield much, but excuse me, I would just put out another tether. I don't know what the word is. It's for the 18th. I'm wondering if there's any availability on the 18th, not necessarily at 8 a.m., but a 10, an 11, a 12.
I have probably later in the afternoon.
I could do a 3.
I could do a 3.
3 on the 18th of June.
I'll do a 3
what I
because I
can do.
found out it's a holiday for my work. Who knew?
Oh, Thursday is?
Thursday and Friday.
Well, because Friday, yeah.
I know. I was like, we have 2 days off. So yes, I didn't realize that, but
Okay.
I can do it. I think I said originally no, but now I can.
Okay.
18, a Thursday, 8 a.m.?
3 p.m.
Oh, 3 p.m. Yeah, I can do that. June 18th, right? Yeah.
Yep, June 18th. Evelyn, would you be able to warn that and send us something? Okay.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So
So
that would
Stephanie,
give us, yeah.
sorry.
that will give
Do you
us a
think we
chance
would
to
have-
talk about those things. Yeah. Are we going to say the same thing? I'll be ready.
I think so. We'd have
You're
the
gonna ask me
comparative
if I'm gonna be
analysis and
ready.
chip would be done by the 18th.
I mean, I'm on vacation the next week, so I don't think I have a choice. I think I have to get it done by next week. So somehow I'll do it. I'll be in the Adirondacks this weekend on my my laptop, but that's what I'll do. So
Thank you.
yeah, no, that's the pace of this. So all right, how's
Okay,
everything on my?
great. Is there any other business?
Just want to say it's very exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Onwards
it's
and
cool.
upwards.
It'll be great to see the math. I think a lot comes
Yes.
down to math. We knew
Yeah,
that would
and
happen, didn't we?
And I will message back to the 2 development teams that we met, and they're both still being considered, and we are still in the process of evaluating
Great.
their financials. Yeah,
Great, good. Thanks, Stephanie.
great.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you tonight.